Ryse, Son of Rome was released alongside the Xbox One VCR as a launch title, and it was really meant to be the flagship title for the console. I remember the reveal trailer and being hyped for this game, and it being one of the main reasons why I even wanted an Xbox One in the first place. But the reviews for this game really put me off. It was called a glorified tech demo and criticized for being very basic and repetitive, with most reviews actually praising the graphics. Then you add the whole machinima controversy where it was found that Microsoft Studios paid them for fake and organic reviews, so this game just got lost in the shuffle very quickly. Well, it's been over 10 years since its release, and it generated a bit of buzz on its 10th anniversary, with creators going back and taking a look at the game and finding it to be not as bad as they remembered. Essentially giving it a second chance, looking at all its roadblocks during production, and frankly just looking at most of the crap we have to compare with since. So since I've always been curious about it, I think it's time I give it a go. And don't worry, nobody's paying me for shit, sadly. So join me as I take a look at Ryse, Son of Rome. In Son of Rome, you play as Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Are you not entertained?
Nah, just kidding, but this is the closest thing I've ever played to the Gladiator. You play as Roman General Marius Titus, who leads a defense against the barbarians who are invading. Marius takes Rome Emperor Nero to a safe room and begins to tell his story that kind of came off very randomly. And we get the story through flashbacks. While as a legionary, he came back home to visit his family when they got attacked by barbarians. With help from his badass papa, he fends them off for a bit, but his goofy ass looking mama and sister were eventually killed, and then so was his daddy. Stricken by grief, Commander Britannia, who served with his daddy, offers him a transfer to the Civ Legion and promises vengeance to whoever is behind this attack. After moving up the ranks, Marius leads the Civ Legion to York to capture the rebel leaders, British King Oswald and his daughter Boudica. They bring them to the Emperor's bratty son Basilius, who wants to know where they have taken the even brattier brother Commodus. The king says he was traded to the even more savages that lie beyond the Hadrian's Wall. After saving the prick,
Well, don't just stand there, you useless sows! Get me out of here!
they return to York, where they were supposed to have a peace treaty, but instead Commodus murders Oswald, which sparks a riot that allows Boudica to escape with help from this evil-looking angel spirit guy. So because of this action, somehow Marius just puts together that it was the Emperor Nero who was at fault for his family's death because he calls the earlier invasion, which feels like a bit of a stretch. I kind of wish that they had more involvement of his daddy with the Emperor. Maybe he had some sort of relationship with the savages to kind of justify why the Emperor would kill him. I don't know. The motivation of this whole thing just kind of felt weak, to be honest. So in the riot, Marius sacrifices himself to the barbarians so that the last Roman ship could escape. Throughout the game, Marius has been seeing this fine-ass spirit angel Roman goddess lady Summer, who has the best jiggle physics I've seen in my whole life.
God damn.
She's appeared a couple times in guiding him to safety and kind of helping him throughout the journey. And when I found it weird that homie's just like unbothered by her, he just doesn't bring this to the attention of anyone else. He doesn't tell Vitalian anything like, hey, I've been seeing this fine ass white girl with a great rack and she's kind of like pointing me in the right direction. No, nothing. He just kind of keeps living his life. So she kind of comes out of nowhere, and her place in the story, I felt it to be a bit weird. But anyway, she resurrects him so that he can exact revenge on the Emperor and his sons. He goes to a freak off where Basilius is running out of baby oil, but he shows up claiming that he's Damocles, a legendary Roman general, and wins a private gladiator fight, and move on to kill Basilius.
I've seen you in my dreams. Cut me loose if you wish to know your future. Damocles shall be slain by the great General Marius. That general shall be slain by Damocles. But Emperor Nero, he can only die by his own sword. You cannot kill him.
She was kind of weird, so we ignore her and her goofy ass prophecies and enter the Colosseum to participate in battles that lead up to a duel versus Commodus, who's a total cheater. He's out here rigging the fights in his favor all the time. But he ain't shit, so after popping his head off, Marius pulls a Goldberg promo and looks at Nero and says,
You are next!
After escaping the Colosseum, you meet up with Vitalian, who's getting ready to fend off an invasion attack by Boudica, who's looking to avenge her father, but we kinda already took care of that, but that doesn't seem to matter. So in the battle, Battalion is killed by Bodhi, and then Marius takes over and we end up killing Bodhi ourselves. Which then takes us back to when Marius is telling the story to the Emperor Nero, figuring out who he truly is and what he's doing here. Nero runs away and Marius chases after him. Then creepy white robed dude shows up, who turns out to be the god of the north wind, Aquilo, and says that he's been helping the emperor and his sons because he wants to see Rome burn for some reason. But then Jiggle Physics shows up and deals with the white robed dude and gives Marius a chance to confront Nero as he tackles him and falls to his death as Nero gets impaled by a giant sword on a statue of himself, therefore fulfilling the fortune teller's prophecy. And through a voiceover, Jizzle Physics says,
"The city, saved by an unsung hero, would go on to stand for thousands of years."
So overall, I found the story to be really all over the place. Nothing really feels right. When his daddy is murdered, you don't really feel it. The pace is weird, and then like big things happen, but we just move on to the next thing. The spirits were also very random to me. I wish they either leaned more one way or the other, either take them out completely because they really didn't need to be there, or make them a bigger deal. And the motivations of each character is also all over the place. Like, am I supposed to hate the barbarians or sympathize them because they killed their king? Is it about equality and like freeing slaves, or is this whole thing about revenge? Because yeah, Marius wants revenge, but he also wants to protect Rome, so he puts his revenge aside to do his duty, and it's obvious that he hates the Emperor's sons before he figures out the Emperor Nero was the one behind the whole thing. But even with that, he still does his job. So I don't know, the story and pace and tone was really kind of all over the place. But not enough for me to completely not give a shit about what's going on, but enough for me to question. I wasn't intrigued about this game's story going in. Everything else revolved around this game is what really had me interested. The theme of gladiators is one that gaming hasn't really taken advantage of, and it's been there the whole time, ready to be taken to make a game about. You could do so much with that theme, and I think that Ryse, to its credit, does try to do so. With the Colosseum especially, the weapons, the sense of battle, and the time period. For a game that's over 10 years old, I think it holds up really well. Visually, the way big crowds look, the mocap is great, the characters are very expressive, and the gore is very nice. This game is very cinematic, cutscene shots are super dynamic, and it really feels like you're taking part in the battles, with big fun set pieces and a lot of surprises along the way. I wasn't expecting the different environments, from colosseums to jungles to beaches and more. And little things like giving Marius different outfits throughout his adventure, so he just doesn't look the same the entire time. I like that. Yeah, there's some texture popping and an occasional teleport here and there, or dead guys floating, or frozen bad guys. But these glitches really just added a few chuckles rather than frustrations. I enjoyed the voice acting, even if there were a couple what the hell was that moments. I really like the audio design. The sound of every type of impact is felt and is really good, whether it's swords clashing, heads being chopped off, or arrows hitting wooden shields. I felt the gameplay to be a step up from basic. The camera can be a little bit too close when you're not in combat, but then when you are, it eventually pulls away a bit. And combat works with a deflection, dodge, and attack system. For bigger enemies, you need to dodge out the way because you can't interrupt their attacks. Otherwise, you can deflect incoming attacks to open them up, to string light and heavy attacks, to lower their defense and HP until you get a prompt to do these sick executions. In the executions, the enemies will glow the different colors to press to award perk bonuses after successfully pressing the prompts. On the fly with the D-pad, you can switch the perks. They can be either generating health, get more XP, increase damage dealt, or earn more focus. And I really like this system. It adds something extra to juggle with while in battle, you know? Oh, I'm low on health. Well, I need to make an execution right now to fill my health bar. I'm fine on everything. Okay, let me take this time to get some extra XP. I really enjoyed this part of the combat. It gives you a bit of freedom to the fight, allowing you to get what you need when you need it. If you get a symbol on 2 enemies, you can double execution, and those are really nice as well. Focus is the white bars on the bottom. This is your typical super ability where screen changes colors and you become faster than the enemies and you can deal more damage. Nothing really too crazy to write home about, just something to bust out when you get surrounded by a ton of dudes. You can also throw these spears that they call pillars, which it actually does feel okay. You have to charge until the reticle turns red and then let go. And this too adds a little something like a shooting mechanic. And you can quickly check these during combat as well. Overall, the combat is really responsive. You can interrupt your attack to be able to deflect someone behind you, but there's also a fair window of it. If you attack within that window and try to deflect, it won't necessarily work. It can be annoying at first, but it was always fair. You can upgrade the executions, and depending on the perk you have set is the execution you will do. So each perk has their own set of executions that you can buy, along with upgrading Marius's basic stats like health, focus bars, and stuff like that. If you don't have enough XP, you can buy coins with real monies to upgrade. It's an option. You don't really have to do it, but I just hate this kind of stuff. It will always be gross to me. So the fact that it's simply there is a little negative. There's a handful of enemy types just reskinned for the different levels. There's smaller guys, guys with shields, bigger dudes that you have to dodge to avoid their attacks. It's really just the same 4 or 5 looking dudes, but the boss fights make up for the lack of diversity in the enemies. They each attack with different patterns and give you different openings you need to time correctly to deal true amount of damage. These can be fun. The settings are pretty fun and wild, and there is a sense of drama to the fights. Because of the reviews, I was really expecting no thought to the missions or even any type of level design, but there are a bit more dynamics than I expected them to be, like knock this down, protect this, destroy the thing to lower the thing. Plus you're in so many different environments, missions to mission, it feels fresh. There's a huge emphasis on being cinematic, and the world that they built actually feels lived in. The Colosseum and its evolving platform is a very fun idea that works for this specific game, and it's brilliantly used outside of the campaign for runs and the multiplayer that essentially is dead these days, but you can still take on hordes of enemies in co-op, which can be really fun. And there's a whole thing to it, unlocking and getting different gear to customize your gladiator with, and levels. I mean, that whole thing is a whole thing in and of itself. But in the campaign, the levels did feel richer than I expected them to be. The game is still linear as hell with scrolls, vistas, and chronicles to collect. The reviews were really harsh on this game in my opinion. Is it repetitive? Yeah, sure. But it's also really fun and tries to do a lot of things to keep it fresh, like environmental executions or the different segments that add nice fun breaks to the overall combat, like the need to hop on ballistas and shoot fools that are charging at you or while you're defending an area, as well as taking command and holding your ground segments where before the battle begins you choose your defense. Do you want to have arrow support or do you want more soldiers on ground? These choices change how the enemies will attack you during the segment. You want to hop on a ballista and cover a whole side by yourself? Go ahead. The planning before battle thing does have some legs to stand on, but there's also a sense that this could have been way better because there's only a couple choices to choose from. During these battles you can command arrows to back you up, and I noticed that there's this little microphone. So the initial intention was for you to yell out the commands through the Kinect. Obviously, Microsoft didn't know at the time that the Kinect sucked, so it ended up tweaking this feature to be able to command it with the controller, which is basically how the development of the game went. A bunch of tweaks and detours along the way. Originally known as Codename Kingdoms, the game was supposed to be a first-person Kinect title for the Xbox 360. Depending on the prompt on screen, users would have to gesture sword attacks to face off enemies, along with shouting out voice commands to order your troops. After things not quite working out like they wanted to, and then facing a ton of delays, the game was then shifted to be an Xbox One launch title, scaling back on the Kinect stuff, reducing its functionality to voice commands, and turning the game into a third-person action-adventure game. So remnants of the Kinect stuff is definitely still felt through the game, with the color stuff in battles and the voice commands, and maybe being caught in between being a Kinect title and a regular title is the reason why it's called a glorified tech demo. But I think that even with that stuff in the way, the game is still fun and better than I expected it to be. I'm not ignoring its issues. Fun but repetitive combat, long loading times, lack of weapons, and its very short campaign, but I can still confidently say that this game got better with age. I think there's more positive than negative to it. A lot of it has to do with the fact that it's just sitting there on the Game Pass, so you didn't have to pay $60 for it at launch now, and that the hype of it being the shiniest brand new launch title of the most revolutionizing and powerful console of all time wore off. Just playing it as a simple game for fun, yeah, I think it still works today. It offers fun moments and it still looks great. At the core of the game, there was enough that could have been explored and improved on. For a while now, there have been rumors of a sequel because this game wasn't intended to be a one-off title. It was supposed to launch a whole frickin' franchise. There have been reports that the sequel was cancelled due to right issues between Crytek and Microsoft. But then, Sylvain Yurley, director of the game, has since said in an interview with Eurogamer that the relationship between Crytek and Microsoft is strong, but plans for a sequel have been put on hold. But then even more rumors and reports suggest that the sequel is in development at Crytek, with it now being multi-platform. All this was a while ago, so who knows what to believe. What I do believe is that sometimes studios focus too much in pushing their shining new feature and neglect the good things the game actually is providing, which makes them end up losing money for being so short-sighted because they want success now and they want it the way they want it. And it doesn't work that way. There is some demand for a sequel from fans with focus on what really works, and I think that could be in and of itself very successful. I really believe that Ryse, Son of Rome could have a resurgence and actually be something cool and make its mark in the industry today. Those are my thoughts on Ryse, Son of Rome. Definitely tell me yours down in the comments. What did you like about it? What did you hate about it? What would you want from a sequel? Any and all thoughts, drop them in the comments. And while you're down there, if you made it this far, drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It's totally free and would really help me out. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do you.